Sure, you can make $1 million buying a franchise. The problem for most people is that the big name franchises that are doing millions of dollars a year or more are just too much money to invest in. There are, however, some little known franchises. We're going to look at those today that generate $1 million revenues for investments that are about 10 times less or more than the major food franchises. So an average Taco Bell franchise is going to cost you about $1.6 million to open. That's not even including your real estate. Owners of a Taco Bell single store might see average gross annual returns of around $1.6 million a year. So not a bad investment. $1.6 million you invest, you get about $1.6 million a year back. Now, of course, some stores more, some stores less, but that's the system-wide average. Opening up a Burger King, that can cost you as much as $3.2 million. Most locations, of course, are quite a bit less, but you're still investing over $1 million for a single store location. And an average single unit Burger King generates about $1.36 million a year. And most of the bigger footprint stores that everybody is familiar with are going to give you AUVs, or average unit volumes, of over $1 million a year. McDonald's locations, they average over $2 million a year. And can you guess who has the highest average revenues of all QSR fast food franchises? Now, Chick-fil-A, it's a completely different business model. The revenue split is quite a bit less. You don't own the business. And even if you do want a Chick-fil-A, chances are very slim you're going to get one. They get about 20,000 applications a year. They open about 80 to 100 locations. Many people waiting for years and years before they're even awarded a restaurant, even if they get one. So if you don't like the odds of Chick-fil-A, you don't have $1 million lying around to invest, but you do still want to generate $1 million a year, what can you do? Now, for people who have the skills and the background, we often suggest exploring service-based franchises that have a much lower investment than the brick and mortar. There are certain industries right now that are very strong. One of them, we recently saw a single franchise location that was doing $20 million a year. But again, these franchises are not ideal for everybody because the operational model can be quite demanding. Now, if you have the background and you do have the abilities, you'll pay a fraction of the price that you would for a big name fast food brick and mortar franchise and still potentially see 7-figure returns. So in a retail situation like your hair salons, your fashion shops, your restaurants, people come in and they buy your stuff. And that's good because you personally can have a bad day or you can have a cold. It doesn't matter. People still come in and buy your stuff. Your location is much more important than your individual business skills. Now, the negative here is that you are at the mercy of your location. So if you pick a bad location, you're in trouble. But if you do have a good location, people just walk in and purchase. It has nothing to do with your performance. Alternatively, service-based franchises, these are typically operated from a home or a small office. There's no walk-in traffic, so somebody has to proactively go out into the community and generate business, make business happen. So in these situations, the franchise, they usually have marketing programs in place that generate some interest in the business, but either the owner or someone that they've hired has to go out and obtain these contracts. And that could be conducting residential estimation, like in the case of franchises such as roofing, cleaning, painting, carpet cleaning, handyman services, senior care, or in B2B situations like commercial cleaning, staffing, property management, expense reduction, and many others. So in these scenarios, the revenue model is entirely dependent on the skill of either the estimator or sales reps that you hire or you personally. Now, this model is very different from owning a brick and mortar business, with some exception for hybrid models that do both retail and business to business. But the point being, unless you have experience and confidence either hiring and managing teams or getting out there yourself, these are not going to be a great fit. But for someone who has executive experience, however, business development or sales experience, these businesses are ideal. Let's take a look at some of these numbers. So senior care, it's a booming industry right now. Most senior care franchises provide in-home care to seniors. So you hire caregivers, they go out into people's homes, and they help seniors with stuff around the house. The largest part of the population right now, the baby boomers, they're turning 65 at a rate of about 10,000 every single day. And this trend is going to continue for many years, and they start to need help around the house. Now, an at-home senior care franchise can typically be started in a small office, usually all in for around $100,000 to $150,000, including your working capital. You can finance the majority of that, of course, OAC. And we work with brands that are averaging $1.5 million a year with average gross profit margins of about 42%. Now, that's more than a Burger King franchise will average. And you have to keep in mind, many fast food franchises are only providing single-digit margins. There's a staffing franchise. Total investment is about $150,000, again, including your working capital. Again, a lot of that can be financed. Has average mature offices doing about $6.5 million a year. Printing franchises. And here's the situation where it's like a hybrid model that we spoke about earlier. You do have some walk-in traffic to your retail location, but business is mostly B2B and local networking. Some of these have earned up to $30 million a year for a single location, and your investment is just around $200,000. Now, to put that in context, a Subway franchise cost you about the same initial investment to open, and their average gross earnings are just over $400,000. And that's before your taxes, your employee salaries, your royalties, and everything else. Now, there's also cleaning franchises, and most people never think of cleaning when they think of making good money. But we have cleaning master franchises that do an average of $2.5 million a year for about a $200,000 investment. We have residential cleaning franchises. They're doing just over $1 million for a total investment just a hair over $100,000. And again, in these examples, I'm giving you the total investment. So that includes everything that you're going to need, including that working capital that you're going to need as your business ramps up. Now, keep in mind, all of these examples that I gave you today, these are the average numbers in their franchise system. This is what an average location can expect. There are many locations that are doing much higher than that. Now, of course, many that are also doing quite a bit less than that. But keep in mind, usually the ones that are doing less are the people who just did not have as great a skill and the expertise in running these businesses. And that's why they're not doing quite as well. So very important always to align your own skills in these scenarios. But for heaven's sake, people go out there and they try and buy these food franchises when they've come from an executive background and they have the ability to invest so much less and potentially bring back so much more. It's often a waste. So always make sure you're calibrating your franchise with your expertise and skills, because you can save a lot of money and also potentially earn a lot more. And remember, I'm showing you today franchises that have $1 million averages. Right? So that's the average in their system. There are actually franchises below $50,000 that have $1 million a year potential and locations that are doing over $1 million, but that's not their average. When I speak with people, I often get the question, wow, Robert, these numbers are amazing. Why do they not advertise these numbers everywhere? And that's a great question. And there's several reasons why most franchises do not advertise publicly their earnings. First, it's actually against the law for franchises to make any earnings claims other than what is verified in their disclosure documentation. That is, of course, to protect the consumer, which is, of course, a good idea. So you'll see some franchises who do show these numbers publicly, but it's the exception rather than the rule. Also, franchises know that attracting buyers who are just motivated by money usually do not make the best franchises. The best franchises are the ones that are attracted to the business model. They resonate with the industry. They love what they are going to be doing. The money is just an added bonus. Also, keep in mind, it can be perceived as a little bit cheesy to front face with these huge earning dollar figures. And keep in mind, your end consumer, they might see that number and think, hey, I'm paying way too much for my services. And that's why it's often difficult to get these numbers from the franchises, and why you usually have to complete an application and a non-disclosure agreement to get at those numbers. But do you know who has all those numbers available? And as part of our free service, we help buyers compare franchises not just with their earnings, but comparing other key data like royalties, territory sizes, store closures, lawsuits, and much more to help make a better informed buying decision. You can learn more about our service by clicking up here. Please like and subscribe and hit that bell for updates. Thanks for watching.
You are listening to Franchise City, a better way to buy franchise.